Hi guys, it's Blackie. Alright, today we're going to be talking about how to do a little air conditioning in a hammock. Now, that title is slightly misleading, but it isn't in some ways. Air conditioning simply means taking the air we have and changing it or improving its condition to make us more comfortable. In that, it's dead spot on. It's not adding refrigeration, but let me explain. During the summertime, whenever you're in your hammock and you've got your mosquito net on, and you got to have that mosquito net on, it is hot and muggy and stifling when you lay down at night. Why? One, during the heat of the day, the sun is heating the surface of the earth. As that does, and the sun makes its path, whenever the sun goes down, that heat, that energy that has been imparted into the earth radiates back out. So it's like you put a rock in the oven and you leave it in there for an amount of time with the oven on, you pull it out, it radiates heat. The ground is radiating heat. And that's the reason right after sundown it is just so stifling, because when the sun's up there's an uneven heating, and so you get a dynamic that causes wind and everything else. But when that changes and the sun goes away, the air goes straight up because that heat is rising, and that air up there is cooling and this air is going up. What this means to us hanging in a hammock is it's muggy as all get out, and they don't seem to be a breath of air moving. And so cooling becomes very difficult for us because our bodies require some sort of air current to help cool us, because all we can do is bring water to the surface and it has to evaporate. But if it's then high humidity, very little evaporation is going off without some breeze. See, so we need air moving. Plus, you're inside of this, and even though this is really thin, mosquito net it's there to keep the insects off but let air in, it still acts as a barrier to the air moving around us. Yes, air will go through it, but it does reduce airflow quite a bit. Now we're laying inside of that. One, our body heat is around 100 degrees. We are radiating heat off us like that hot rock coming out of an oven. Two, we're breathing. So we're adding hot steam air into this enclosed area that there is no air exchange from the inside and the outside. Just like if you simply test this theory of getting home and laying down and pulling the covers over your head into bed, don't you get hot? Don't you feel your breath and all that hot air right here? And nothing's moving, man. And you just lay there and like, oh God. And it's usually several hours after sundown. Here in my deep south, it's probably about midnight before it ever starts cooling down, and you get those first little breezes where the radiant heat of the earth coming up can't keep the cool air sinking coming down from above, and you start getting a breeze a little bit. But what can we do about that? We can condition the air, we can move it. Now let me show you what I've been doing for several years, probably over a decade, in my summertime hammocks. One, I'm going to be in a hammock because it is better to be up off the ground down here. Two, I get air circulation underneath me. Even though I'm laying there and there is no air flowing, like I said, my body heat is radiating out. And so that means that as I lay here and the hammock is filled up, the heat from me is flowing on the outside of the hammock where I'm laying on the material, because I don't have an underquilt on. Why would I? In the summertime, my lows are going to be in the 70s. And so I'm trying to let that heat radiate out from me to the outside. So that's going up and around. That's the reason when you sleep in a hammock, and many times during the year, except in the superheat summer, you'll feel cold in the center of your back, because that's the part at the bottom of the V right there. And that's where the heat is flowing out. There's an air current you're generating from the other side, on the outside of the hammock, of the heat that's going from your body through that to the outside forwards like a chimney effect, and it pulls up air. I know, Blackie, you're talking a whole lot of physics. Welcome to Woodsman Physics 101. So, what can we do to improve it? Well, I put my little air conditioner in. Let me show you. Okay, here's my ridge line for my hammock. Here's my mosquito net. My head's going to be on that end. So I'm going to come down here to the foot and over my ridge line. I chose this. What kind of hammock is this? I know somebody's going to ask. This is the One Wind Compact. It has a zippered in mosquito net that's attached at one end so that I can unzip it completely off and throw it out of the way, but it's still attached to the hammock if I don't want it or need it. But at the same time, I can zip it closed if I need a mosquito net, right? But for this demonstration, it also allows me to flip it over and it will still be up here at the top without having to, there we go. So you can still see my mosquito net. Now let's assume that I'm getting ready for bed. Here's my air conditioner. That runs off, I got this from Walmart. It is a O2 Cool. Had it for a couple of years now. It takes 2 D cells, okay, and it runs for several hours on a pair of 2 D cells. Now, you don't want to try to set it up like that. That'll never work. You're going to hang it like that. And so if you notice, there's a hinge there. You can hear it ratcheting. It folds down fairly compact, slides into a pack fairly well like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang it like that, open it up just enough so that it's kind of balanced, okay? And all I've done is I've taken a bushcraft zip tie and I put it inside the hammock. And I'm just going to run it around the actual thing like that, and I'm going to pull it down tight. Come on now. Come on. A little fiddly. Let me get myself situated like I want. Here we go. Alright. Now, imagine now that my net's completely over. I put it down here at the foot for the reason. I'm laying in here. And so my body heat is being trapped. There is no air moving other than my breathing, right? By putting this down here at the foot, it will suck air when I turn it on through the mosquito net itself, okay? Because it's right down here at the foot. That air is going to be brought from the outside in, and that's going to blow down the length. Well, my head's at that end. What am I doing at that end? I want that gone. That pocket of hot air moving. So it's going to set up a little bit of a circulatory current in here, dissipating heat, cooling down my breath, making me feel a little breeze to help me cool, my sweat dry, and me cool. That's one. Two, it's going to sort of, not exactly, pressurize my mosquito net to let the air flow out of my mosquito net through all these openings. And what happens is when you zip up one of these, I'm not going to do it because you can't tell it on camera, you got to be in it to see it. But you're going to turn your fan on, you're going to lay down. Instead of your mosquito net doing that, it does that. It ain't like, no. But it goes from like that to like that. Is that air is being sucked in from the outside in, and then it goes through. That means positive airflow. My body heat is being dissipated out through the mesh. My breath is being dissipated out through the mesh. I've got an airflow, positive airflow, that is at least cooler than my body temp, or should be from the heat, who knows, coming through here and circulating in there. Don't laugh. I have demonstrated this to multiple people. My good friend Dan Lutz, he said, I don't know about that. I think that's kind of hokey there, Black Ends. Okay, prove me wrong. And so he and I had gone up to Jason Hunt's campcraft in July for an event up there to talk some business. And we were going to be camping in Jason's backyard. He's got poles out there for hammocks. There isn't any trees anywhere near it. You're kind of like in a bare field. And the sun didn't go down up there till like 9-something at night by our time. And so it was a very long, hot day. Because we were in the barn, or we went in the air conditioning in his office and talked. But the thing about it was, laying down at night and that heat radiating off that grass that had been just sitting there in the sun all day long, I knew it was not going to be very cool. But I had brought something like this for Dan, and I had set it up in his hammock for him. He laid down, I turned the thing on, I dropped the mosquito net down around him. I said, okay. He said, I feel a little breeze, that's about it. Okay. Sun had been down about an hour. He had to get up and turn it off. He got cold. Why? Because this is circulating air. One, it is causing an exchange of outer air with air inside this mosquito net. So I'm getting positive airflow. It's conditioning my air, improving my air. It's making my body heat flow out instead of being trapped in here. So that as my natural convection current, like I talked about, radiating through the outside of the hammock is coming up, and up here on top, my breath and my stuff has got a breeze to blow it off of me. See, you get cool. And normally I run this thing for maybe an hour, hour and a half after we lay down. I'm going to wake up cool, and I'm going to reach down and pull up my Whoopee or something like that, and I'll let it run. It'll run all night on a good set of batteries. And then I just carry a couple extra set of batteries, or I have a solar charger I can put in a dash of the truck to recharge my batteries during the day. Either one. And I'm sure you could get some sort of adapter to make it run by one of the more powerful bricks or something like that. But the point being is, this allows me to sleep in that kind of heat. With my heat problems now after my stroke, I'm not even attempting it yet. But next year, I'll probably go back to doing this. But for 10 plus years, guys, some little fan like this, some little battery powered fan, is what I use in my hammocks in the dead of summer at night to be my little air conditioner, my little ceiling fan, if it will, to just circulate air, pressurize my mosquito net by sucking in cooler outside air and forcing my breath and all to go out the net on that end, so it isn't just trapped inside of this dome sweating me out. It makes your life more comfortable, and in my opinion, it's a worthwhile idea. I hope you enjoyed it. Please try this. You'd be surprised how well it works. And we did one other thing I'll tell you. You know, I talked about taking my mesh Hammock that you can get it wet and put it over your head and breathe. I have taken it and draped it wet over this end so that this has got to suck that air cool. And you'll think an air conditioner turned on. It's funny. It's not going to last more than like 30 minutes for that dries that out, but it's really refreshing to lay down and have it do that inside of that mosquito net. Give it a try. You may be very surprised. Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. If you have, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.